All right, a couple of fun stories that we had to throw in here about the craziness inside of the elite Democratic mind. We're going to start first with Dmitry Melhorn. Now, you guys might remember Dmitry Melhorn. He's the advisor to Reid Hoffman. He's the billionaire mega donor. We recently had him here on this program, actually, for Counterpoint's debates against Cenk Uygur about whether Joe Biden should stay in the race. It appears now he has actually been caught trying to tell reporters in the immediate aftermath of the attempted assassination that the entire thing was staged. Now, if you didn't know anything about Dmitry, we're going to give you a taste of who he was during that debate. Let's take a listen.
In 2016, everybody told Joe Biden to step down. Everybody was sure he was too old. Same people made the same points in 2020. Same people are making the same points now. But the democratic process and the deliberative process that chose Joe Biden is the process that we have. It is how American democracy works. The parties choose candidates, and then the nation chooses between them.
So yeah, he's the person who wants Biden to stay in the race, debated Cenk about that topic. I thought that's all we would really hear from him until days later, we find out that apparently in the aftermath, as I said, he was emailing top journalists memos about how this assassination attempt was staged. Just put this up there on the screen because it's just unhinged. It's insane. So what we find here is that Dmitry is apparently sending out emails on Saturday at 7:34 p.m. Keep in mind, that is after I did a breaking news segment for everybody where it was obvious and clear that this was an attempted assassination, and it was, if anything, it was a huge security failure. So I believe I filmed mine at like 6:50 or something. The attempted assassination happened at approximately 6:15 p.m. So in this email at 7:34 p.m., he said to sympathetic journalists, which was also apparently sent here to Semaphore, he wrote that one possibility, which feels horrific, alien, and absurd, but is quite common globally, is that the shooting was encouraged and maybe even staged so that Trump could get photos and benefit from the backlash. Quote, "This is a classic Russian tactic, which such as when Putin killed 300 civilians in 1999 and blaming it on terrorists to ride the backlash to winning power. Others who have embraced this tactic of committing raw evil and then benefiting from the backlash include Hamas on October 7th. If any Trump officials encouraged or knew of this attack that is morally horrific, and Republicans' decency must demand that Trump should step down as unfit. The other possibility," he writes, "is that some crazy anti-Trumper in this chaotic moment decided to assassinate the former president." So that's only a possibility. It's a possibility. Again, keep in mind, I mean, this is a person who controls the flow of billions of dollars in American politics, one of the single most influential, donor advisors in all of Washington, D.C. That is one of the reasons why that we had him on the Counterpoints debates. But what's more significant here is to just see how unhinged he apparently was behaving, behind the scenes. Put this up there on the screen, okay? Let me give you another example. The guy who he works for, Reid Hoffman, this is just days ago, at the Sun Valley Conference for Major Investors, Peter Thiel apparently sarcastically thanked Reid Hoffman for funding lawsuits against Donald Trump because they had turned him into, quote, a martyr, increasing his chances of re-election. From the stage, Reid Hoffman then shoots back, quote, "Yeah, I wish I had made him an actual martyr." So that was a joke, just apparently, according to him, it was a joke just literally days before all of this happened. Now, we actually have the memo now that we can show you from Dmitry Melhorn that he wrote to these journalists. Let's put this up there on the screen and I'll read, from it. He says, "One possibility is that some crazy anti-Trumper, as I said, blah, blah, would assassinate. The other possibility, horrific and alien, is that Trump must step down as sees fit because this was staged." So he goes, "So which is it? To be clear, it might have been real. Both pro-Trump and anti-Trump coalitions include violently insane people. As he says, a Bernie person shot at Steve Scalise, Trump supporters have killed police to start a race war, committed mass murder in a synagogue, etc. Violence happens. On the other hand, I am prone to bias, but this is a classic Putin play. And given the facts seem more plausible, look at the actual shot. Look at the staging. Look at how ready Trump is to rally. This pampered baby shit his pants when an eagle lunged at his food. Look at how quickly Trump protects himself at the expense of others, but showed few of those lifelong instincts in this moment. And consider how often Putin and his allies run this play. I know it feels yucky to discuss such a possibility, But in this case, the odds are so high and the stakes are so consequential, we must ask the question. I have skimmed a few headlines just now. All caps. Not one newspaper or opinion leader in America is willing to openly consider the possibility that Trump and Putin staged this on purpose. Ask the question, people. If it proves wrong, we should respond appropriately to a non-staged act of political violence as outlined above. But your credibility and our entire system of truth and justice depend on being certain in the answer. So that's unhinged. Shall we say? Shall we call it what it is? That's fucking crazy. I mean, somehow Putin is now involved in this. And he basically says it is the most likely, the Occam's razor, the most likely explanation for what happened here. Now keep in mind again, this is 7:34 p.m. This is more than an hour after the attempted assassination. By this time, we and others already have video from people who are on the scene who are like, hey, I saw a guy crawling up there with a gun. I saw all this happening. That was behind the scenes. You saw that the former president, by pure happenstance, turns his head at that moment, gets freaking shot in the ear, and a man is killed who is behind him. And you think that that was staged? Keep in mind this too. If it was staged, why is a guy gonna allow a shooter to basically graze his head within the margin of error where a single, flap of a wing of a butterfly moves the wind in a different direction and we get a pink mist shot on live television? You think that is gonna be more like, is that something you're gonna trust, in your hands if this was allegedly staged? That's where it's like, what are we doing here? This is psychotic. This is insane. But what's more insane is that this is the mindset of a person who controls billions of dollars in American politics. This is the mindset of the most elite rings of the Democratic Party and the conspiratorial thinking that goes through them. Now put this up there on the screen too. He eventually, he apologizes. He says, last night I sent an email and I regret I drafted it and sent it without consulting my team. I have apologized to them directly. I also want to apologize publicly without reservation for allowing my words to distract from last night's central fact. Political violence took yet another innocent American life. We must unite in condemnation of such violence in every instance without reservation. Any other topic is a distraction. Unfortunately, I only talked with Reid after I sent that email. I agree entirely with this thoughtful post this morning. I join all America in demanding we lose no more innocent lives to political violence. So he claims he didn't clear it with Reid Hoffman. At the very least, though, this is a guy who Reid Hoffman trusts a lot. This is a guy who journalists trust enough to be getting emails from him that are something like this. He's lucky that this is probably the first one that's ever leaked, because even they were like, hey, this shit is crazy. All right, but look, this is who we're dealing with, folks. These are the people who are propping Biden up. These are the people who are keeping Biden in the race. This is the mindset which has been running this country now for a long time. This is a mindset that runs right through elite media. And the fact that even somebody would ever put this down on paper who was in a position of power, send it out to people, and not expect to get ridiculed, that's one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. And I'm glad that they burned him and they put this out, because he deserves every ounce of condemnation that he is getting. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.